Elon Musk just schooled Joe Biden and is now voting Republican. So Elon Musk plans to vote Republican for the first time ever. Speaking at a tech conference, he said, quote, "I have voted overwhelmingly for Democrats historically. Overwhelmingly. I might never have voted for a Republican, just to be clear. Now this election, I will." This is obviously important because of who he is, but it speaks to the larger shift in the mainstream of American culture. Life is more painful every day in Joe Biden's America. The positive is that Americans on the left are witnessing firsthand what Democrat policies do to your way of life, and hopefully, like Musk, will remember this pain when they vote. Meanwhile, nearly 50% of Joe Biden's Twitter followers are spam bots. Nobody had to tell me that to figure that one out. Meanwhile, Disney favorably plummeted 77% in 2021 to 33% favor Disney now in 2022. Wonder why. Meanwhile, 2,000 Mules will be released in 400 theaters following digital success. If you haven't seen it, watch it. Remember, it took 2,000 mules to elect, or to get one ass under control. Meanwhile, Senator John Kennedy says you can lead a man to the presidency, but you can't make him think. Wow. Thank you for tuning in to Go Right News. This is Go Right with Peter Boykin. Let's watch a few videos.
Warning, notice the social media, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, etc. GoRightNews.com publishes and shares news gathered by many sources, right, middle, and left. The views in these news might not reflect the views of the publisher or reader in the podcast. Keep this in mind before blocking, striking, or banning Go Right News from your platform.
Hi neighbors, this is Peter Boykin, and this is hashtag Go Right with Peter Boykin. Check out this news story and more on GoRightNews.com and the podcast hashtag Go Right with Peter Boykin.
So, border officials discovered a sophisticated cross-border tunnel used to smuggle drugs. Look at it. Wow. Look at this video.
Now at 11, new video here revealing a sophisticated cross-border drug tunnel that stretches from Tijuana, Mexico into a warehouse in Otay Mesa just north of the border. The underground passageway is more than 1,700 feet long and 61 feet deep. It has reinforced walls, a rail system, electricity, and a ventilation system. The tunnel was found over the weekend during a surveillance operation. 6 people now facing drug charges, but the investigation is ongoing. Hello, I'm Mark Brown. Get more great ABC7 content by clicking the subscribe button for our YouTube channel and download the ABC7 Los Angeles streaming app on Fire TV, Android TV, Apple TV, and Roku to watch on your TV.
So Project Veritas caught another Twitter executive trashing the company's woke ideology and calling Elon Musk mentally handicapped and has Asperger's. Check this out by Veritas.
Well, right now we don't make profit, so it's going to say ideology, which is what's led us to not being profitable. The rest of us who have been here believe in something that's good for the planet and not just to give people free speech. These are the policies we've put in place for misinformation or mislabeling media. Yeah. It's going to be hard for him to be like, oh, because people should make their own decision. It's like, no, but people don't know how to make a rational decision if you don't put out correct things that are supposed to be out in the public. He has Asperger's.
Yeah, I know that.
So he's special. You're special needs. You're literally special needs. So I can't even take what you're saying seriously. Advertisers are freaking out because of what he's like tweeting about, like being like, I want free speech, yada yada yada. Yeah. Like, who really knows what that even means?
Like, now is Twitter's definition of free speech the same as Elon's?
Apparently, according to him, no. As an advertiser, as my business is what I do every day and why I go out is like, we want it to be as fair and transparent and accurate as possible.
Yeah.
And if that means there's a level of censorship to make it correct, quote unquote. Again, and what does correct mean? I guess like it just kind of goes into the idea of like, well, what is correct? Like every idea of like, you know, it's kind of like the principle of being like good and bad. Like good and bad exists, and it's either is bad or it's either good. It's not like a mix of good and bad. It's like one or the other, and it's like kind of the same idea of like, is it truthful or is it lies, or is it a mix of truth and lies? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like, where do you draw the line?
That's my concern, though. That's why I hate this deal so much. Elon's gonna f everything up.
Don't. He might try to, but there are people that are going to try to push back as much as they can, because we are doing. The rest of us who have been here believe in something that's good for the planet and not just to give people free speech. But I think when he has to talk to the employees and face the music and be like, this is, because again, like, these people really do believe in what we're doing, and so like, if people are gonna, they're not just gonna be like, these are the policies we've put in place for misinformation or mislabeling media or whatever.
Yeah.
Why do you think this should be taken down?
Yeah.
Like, those are the questions they're going to ask him.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It's going to be hard for him to be like, oh, because people should make their own decision. It's like, no, but people don't know how to make a rational decision if you don't put out correct things that are supposed to be out in the public.
But what it really comes down to is, does Twitter care more about profit or ideology?
Now I think it's about, well, right now we don't make profit, so it's going to say ideology, which is what's led us to not being profitable.
That's what's happened?
Well, Twitter's not profitable.
Because of ideology.
Well, if we're implementing all these rules that and Elon wants to dismantle them, then technically our ideology has led us to not making money because we're not making money. And Elon wants to turn it the other way so that we can make money. Do you get what I mean? I have no doubt that there's more to what they tell us than what they tell us. Like, there's probably is some more. Tell me the real, like what you're asking. I have no doubt there is. But there's a statement they need all 7,000 people to say, and so they can't like tell us that like the real truth. Like, you get what I mean? Like, that's what I'm saying. I think at the end of the day, what the real truth is that they can't ever really say is it's all about money. It's all about money and making all these money. Parag, Jack, the board members, everyone gets paid. Elon gets like tax benefits, doesn't have to pay taxes forever.
Right.
Everything. Like, it's all like a money shit greed America. Elon Musk as a person is whatever. I don't like. He's a Looney Tune. He has Asperger's.
Yeah, I know that.
So he's special. We all know that. That's fine. So you know he's gonna say some crazy because he's special. Because again, like, don't you also see his piece of? Why can't we just all love each other? Haven't you seen his other tweets where he's like, "I'm like, you're special needs. You're literally special needs." Literally, though, you really are. So I can't even take what you're saying seriously because you're special. So.
People are starting to leak now? Like, what?
Unfortunately, it would be like you recording me right now and giving it to like the New York Times and like, here, I just had dinner with a Twitter representative. Here's what he had to say. I just had a whole thing. Look at it. You see where it's from?
Corporate security.
Targeting of tweets.
Wait.
You can read it.
Let me see. And how to protect yourself. Groups like Project Veritas are active right now. What is that?
It's like some group that's trying to just out the employees. Like, they're trying to go on dates with them like this and record them and then go sell it to the New York Times and say this is what the Twitter employee just said. Like, this is what's really happening. This is what they're telling us to not do.
You're lucky that you met me organically, because I would be questioning everything about you.
So this is kind of shocking. A mom in Nevada reads from a graphic assignment her daughter was required to do. Then the school board cut her mic. A mom in Clark County School reads from a graphic assignment her daughter was required to do. Her mic then gets cut off because it's inappropriate for a public discussion. So adults can't handle the hearing this content, yet they readily give it to kids in school. Now, how does this make sense? Check this out.
Okay, thank you.
I'm going to read you an assignment given to my 15-year-old daughter at a local high school. This will be horrifying for me to read to you, but that will give you perspective on how she must have felt when her teacher required her to memorize this and to act it out in front of her entire class. I don't love you. It's not you. It's just, I don't like your dick, or any dick in that case. I cheated, Joe.
I'm sorry.
This is propaganda.
Forgive me. Excuse me. I don't, thank you so much for your, comment. Forgive me. We're not using profanity. Are you?
Okay.
We have the time back. That's relevant.
Okay.
Yes. The teacher
this
required my daughter to memorize this and read this pornographic material.
Excuse me. Please don't engage with the audience.
Okay. Sorry,
So please continue your public comment. Your time is, you've got 1 minute and 19 seconds. I ask you simply, this is a public meeting. I ask for decorum, and I'm asking Dr. Jara. Thank you so much, Dr. Jara.
If you don't want me to read it to you, what was that like for my 15-year-old daughter to have to memorize pornographic material and memorize it and portray?
Madam President, members of the board, staffs on this, we can have the region superintendent speak.
Now, I'm laughing here, and the biggest lie of the week goes to Dr. Fauci. Can you believe this guy?
I don't like mandating things. I don't like punishing people for not doing something.
Now, here is the saddest video you're ever going to watch this week. This doesn't feel like the child expressing himself. It feels like the mother expressing herself through her child. This poor kid doesn't stand a chance. And notice, that's one thing, letting the kid express themselves and liking to wear something outside of their gender norm. But if you listen, this kid doesn't want to be called a girl. This kid's definitely not trans. This kid just wants to enjoy wearing different clothing. This kid could be a drag queen in the future, which is not the same as a transgender or transsexual. But watch this video.
Okay, hold on. You love it, and you want it, and you picked it out, but you don't. But you don't want it for school. Can you tell me why?
Because last time I wore a dress to school, everybody called me a girl.
Oh. Well, what did we learn from My Shadow is Pink?
Even when you wear a dress, you're not a girl.
What makes a shirt for a boy or a girl?
Nothing.
So do you want this? You picked it out.
I do want it.
You want to wear it all the time at home, but not at school, right?
Yeah.
Tell me about that.
I don't want to get made fun of, and that's what they always do when I wear pink and stuff.
I'm sorry,
but
baby.
not when I do it only on special occasions.
What makes you like dresses so much?
I just like dresses.
Do you think bright, pretty colors and dresses and sequins and jewels and golds, all the things that you always want to wear, do you think that's your innermost you?
It is.
Well, how are you going to be your innermost you when we live in a place that people think clothing belongs to particular gender? It's a trick, isn't it? You know, your mommy gets made fun of by people for looking like this too.
Huh?
What do you think about that?
Nope. That's just wrong. That's just wrong.
You, right? Do you remember Jeffrey Marsh?
Jeffrey Marsh. Who's Jeffrey Marsh?
Jeffrey Marsh is one of the most beautiful people. Remember, they were born a boy, but they know that they're just them. What about Ty?
Ty, she's a girl.
They get made fun of sometimes too, man. I guess you just have to decide if being you is the most important part of you.
Let's go.
Okay, let's go.
And finally, Elon Musk just schooled Joe Biden on inflation. This is a good, simplified explanation of inflation for anyone to hear. Let's listen.
Inflation, but then he correlated that to taxing corporations, and Bezos said this is misinformation and disinformation, et cetera, et cetera. What do you think about that whole exchange then back and forth?
I mean, the obvious reason for inflation is that the government printed a zillion amount of more money than it had, obviously. So it's like the government can't just, have issue checks far in excess of revenue without there being inflation. Velocity of money held constant. So unless there's something would change with velocity of money, but it's just if the federal government writes checks, they never bounce. So that is effectively creation of more dollars. And if there are more dollars created, then the increase in the goods and services output of the economy, then you have inflation. Again, velocity of money held constant. This is very basic. This is not like super complicated. And if the government could just issue massive amounts of money and have and deficits didn't matter, then why don't we just make the deficit 100 times bigger? Okay, yeah. The answer is you can't, because it will basically turn the dollar into something that is worthless. So. And various countries have tried this experiment multiple times. It's not like, oh, I wonder what happens if this is done. Yeah. Have you seen Venezuela? Like the poor people of Venezuela have been just run roughshod by their government. And so obviously you can't simply create money. The true economy is very important. Like the true economy is the output of goods and services. It's not money. It's literally, what is the output of goods and services? Money is simply a way for us to, or anything that you call money, is a way for us to conveniently exchange goods and services without having to engage in barter, and also to shift obligations in time. Those are the two reasons that you have money. This thing called money. It's really a database. Money is an information system for labor allocation and for exchange of goods and services and for translating in time. And the quality of that information is a function of, it's like you can apply information theory to money. And I think it helps explain why one money system is, or why one action is better than another. And so if like you just like an internet connection, you'd want something that's high bandwidth, low latency and jitter, and is not dropping packets, does not have a lot of errors in the system. And the same is true of money. You want, and really, like you said, what did PayPal really do? That it helped improve the bandwidth, the speed at which money could move. Instead of mailing checks back and forth, which amazingly that was what people did in 2000. You could now do real-time exchange of money, and now you could ship your goods immediately instead of mailing a check and waiting for the bank to clear the check. So, the ultimate thing that with PayPal, or if it sort of was in the X.com, sort of went less sort of niche payments and more sort of broad financial, would be to simply disintermediate all the heterogeneous COBOL databases out there running on mainframes doing batch processing, and have a single real-time system that was secure and not batch processing. And so it would just be, from an information standpoint, more efficient, and eventually all the batch processing COBOL mainframes operated by the banks would cease to exist.
And in the same conversation, Musk joked that Biden isn't in charge. Here's who he thinks is in charge.
But it's not as if Biden has flipped the script and said, okay, we're going to go 180 degrees in the other direction. He's kind of kept it the same, which has been really surprising, actually.
Man, it's hard to tell what Biden's doing, to be totally frank. I feel like
it's weekend at Bernie's.
The real president is whoever controls the teleprompter. It's like the path to power is the path to the teleprompter. Because then he just reads the teleprompter. So I do feel like if somebody would accidentally lean on the teleprompter, it's going to be like Anchorman. It's going to be like QQQ ASDF 123 type of thing.
I mean, in fairness to Biden, he hasn't been napping as much as he needs to, but
it's hard to say
hard job.
These sort of things that are getting done. This administration just doesn't seem to get a lot.
Thanks for tuning in to Go Right with Peter Boykin. This is part of GoRightNews.com. Now, each month, Go Right spends hundreds of dollars and hours to run this site and the podcast with no sponsors or ads, and this comes out of our pockets. If you like what you see, consider donating to the podcast. And there's links to that on the website at GoRightNews.com. Please share this. Thank you for tuning in. It's time to join the Go Right movement. It is time to hashtag Go Right for America. Join us at GoRight.us. and GoRightNews.com. It is time for the Great American Revival, and it is time to hashtag Go Right for America.
Thanks again, everybody, for listening to this, and please share it everywhere. Again, this has been hashtag Go Right with Peter Boykin, a part of GoRightNews.com and a part of the Go Right Network.